Hello, it's Kim again. I think it was Rhiannon Dancing Oak that had a video about her mundane books, and I thought that was a good idea, especially because I always remember my dad telling me growing up that you can tell a lot about a person by the books that they keep on their bookshelves. I showed you my collection in a past video, all my knitting patterns and knitting books. I'm sure that tells you a lot about me. Because my living room is in disarray and my closets are even worse, I am not going to open up the closet that I have that has all my college textbooks in it. But needless to say, they're overflowing in there, and they're actually overflowing into my trunk in the back seat of my car as well, and I really need to go through those and decide which ones are actually going to be worth keeping when I graduate in 2 months. See? 2? And I'm so excited. Which ones are going to be worth keeping, and which ones I should probably just get rid of because I'm never going to use again. There's some classes that are like that when you go through college. They're just like, they're good for the knowledge that you get in the class, but the books are not something you want to hang on to for the rest of your life. My dad would disagree with that. He still has all his nursing textbooks from when he was in college, but this is my short bookshelf that I have with just my regular books on it, and I am sure that I am about ready to outgrow it soon. I keep my DS games over here. I'm not sure that all the games are in the boxes, but I will say that this Super Mario Brothers is the... Here. I play that one the most often. I'm kind of retro when it comes to video games. I played that Narnia one for a while, and the first one, I think. Yeah, the first one I played for a while, and then I was having a hard time beating an ogre or something in there, and so I kind of quit playing it for a while. But I'm not going to show you every little bit that I have in here, just some things that stand out. I do keep a Bible on my shelf, which might seem kind of weird because I am pagan and like, what the heck. But I will go into detail about my family and religion in my family in another video. I don't want to take up all the time on this one going over it. Basically, there are people in my family that are Christian, and I respect their religions, and a lot of times there'll be like events in the family that I know they're just inviting me to them to try to convert me. But you know, if somebody invites you to a play that they're in at their church, it's kind of rude to turn them down, and it's actually kind of a fun experience sometimes too. And I like to just bring a Bible with me and show respect for their religion in that way. So I just bought a really tiny one at the local CVS. It was real cheap. And that's why I keep Holy Bible with me. Not because I think that if I light a candle and put a Bible on the desk when I'm reading tarot cards that that'll somehow protect me from evil spirits or whatever. Nah. I love romance novels. Love, love, love. My aunt actually got me into them when I was like 17. But I keep a selection here. I don't really use the paperback version so much anymore because the year before last my boyfriend got me a Nook for Christmas, and you can get so many free romance novels on there. There's a lot of typos and stuff in them if they're free, but I don't care. It's good reading. Plus there's always a library, and you read them once and that's all you really need. So, and I always keep a dictionary. My mom always instilled in me that the dictionary is one of the most important books you will ever own. I was homeschooled growing up, so it still echoes in my head times where I was like, Mom, how do you spell? And she'd say, sound it out or look it up. And after a couple of times of having to write the word of over and over and over again because I spelled it O-V instead of O-F, I started actually using a dictionary. I just wanted to show you over here. That is, oh look, that's my little brother that passed away from a heroin overdose 3 years ago. And I think he was 16 or 17 in this photo. He had just gotten out of the rehab center, so he'd put on a little bit of weight and was looking especially cute when he got his picture taken. He was almost 20 whenever he passed away. And yeah, I miss him. I miss him a lot. He was adorable. And this is like one of the few mementos I have of him, because the rest of the family just kind of descended on everything and took it. So I don't have very much to remember him by, but that picture means a lot to me. It's just too bad I can't find a frame that'll fit it. And that's my little boy. He's 5 now. Yeah, he's 5, but he is adorable. You can't really tell from this picture of a picture, but he's got the little curly brown hair. So adorable. Love him. I have a lot of books that are just like, whatever. This book I really liked. It is a romance novel, but the title caught my eye because it reminded me of me and my sister, the one that's 21. She's always been considered the pretty one. You know, some people in the family think she's the smart one too. I have some stories that would make your toes curl how that is not the case. But it was actually a really good story, and I'm really glad that I got that and read it. It's not quite the same picture that my sister and I present to the world, but it was good reading. I am obsessed with budgeting, and so I have this book, City Chic, that I got it like when I moved to the county, actually. And then now that I live in the city, it's even more valuable to me. I got a couple books about moving in with your boyfriend. My boyfriend and I don't live together, but for the first half of our relationship until now, we've been together for 3 years. For the whole first half of it, well, until quite recently, I should say, not the first half, but all up until quite recently, he was like, oh, marriage is just a piece of paper. We don't need to worry about that. And I was trying to be understanding. So I got books like Shacking Up, and then I started reading about his cold feet. Why does he not want to marry me? And then I ended up getting the Get Your Man to Marry You plan, and really, it's a good book if you think that there might be any idea that your boyfriend is interested in marriage, but he's not too sure about it. This would be a good book to read. My boyfriend apparently just needed time. He is actually talking about getting me the ring, but some events just happened this morning, actually, that I'm not sure that is going to happen as soon as I thought it was going to happen. So we'll just see. And then I got The Offbeat Bride whenever he started talking about it, because I was like, I want a very personalized wedding ceremony. It'll have to be a little mixture of pagan, because those are my beliefs, and he does respect my beliefs. And it'll be a little mixture of his own quirky not really religion, but not really spiritual either. He just has his own little view about what's going on upstairs. I got this book, Secrets of a Former Fat Girl, and I haven't finished it, but it is really, really a good book about taking your time and not trying to lose the weight all at once, and not being shy of going to the gym in your fat girl clothes. So yeah, that's a good one, but I haven't finished it, but whatever, it was good. My little book about couponing. There's more than that in there, but it's mostly couponing. And I'll get back to that one later. My boyfriend bought this for me this past Christmas because my first job was at the public library as a page, which, if you don't know, that's the person that shelves books. And while I worked there, I started really branching out and reading more than what I grew up reading, which was a lot of just basically Christian fiction, and that's it. So he was asking me, what was your favorite book of all time? And this is a combination of being my favorite book of all time and the first romancy type novel that I read. So disappointed in the ending. I was like, but plot and everything, it is awesome, and he bought it for me for Christmas, so yay. And this is a cookbook that my mom's support group for parents that have lost their children put together, and they all have like recipes in there. And I know you've probably seen a million of these, so I'm not going to bore you with recipes. There's another picture of my brother. He's so cute. But this is what I was going to show you. One of the few instances where my mom was wanting anything to do with me, she called me and said, I have to write a page about Trenton and the stuff, you know, as he was growing up and everything, but I don't know how to write. I know, I was homeschooled by a woman who was obsessed with the dictionary but can't write. Basically, she was saying that I write a little more like I talk. So we got together at the library and she gave me some little anecdotes, and I was able to put together this whole page for her, and then I didn't hear from her for like 3 months, so okay, love you, Mom. But she gave that to me for Christmas this year too, so it ended up being worth it. There's some family recipes in there from when I was a kid that I'd been looking for, and I know you can see this ring on my hand. This is not an engagement ring. It got put on that hand because it didn't fit on the other one. I have some coloring books over here. Coloring is a form of meditation for me. It really helps me out a lot. It's got some decorating books here. And this these books over here is where I'm going to go back over here, called How to Survive the End of the World as We Know It. And I know I seem crazy for having this on my bookshelf, and actually I am crazy, been diagnosed crazy. Here's the thing, I found this book on a shelf, and I've always kind of had the idea we're going to be our own undoing one day, and I was raised by my father, who was convinced that 2000, Y2K, was going to be the end of the world as we know it. And he prepped like crazy. That was before it was like cool to prep. And So I was raised around that, so I've always had this underlying feeling that there is going to be an end to society. I know, very negative for me, and what pagan is like negative, but I'm being sarcastic. We all have our quirky little things about us, and this is one of mine. So I read this book, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was so good. I think the author of this book is like radically Christian, if you know what I mean. And I'm not down in Christians, but I am saying that there are some out there that go a little bit overboard. And he seems to use his Christian religion to push his propaganda of the end of the world as we know it. And then once I read that one, I got these two. I have another one around here somewhere about a crazy guy that moved out to the middle of the woods on a camping trailer, and he was like surviving, but it was really good. I enjoyed it. I just don't see myself getting 5 acres of basically gravel to raise sheep and goats on, and to garden out of old tires. Not really what I kind of see, but yeah, I got this one and this one, and I haven't read these yet, but they're part of my to-read list. And basically, we'll try to keep this in a nutshell since I'm at 1650 something minutes right now. I do not believe in Armageddon as many people would put it. Because Armageddon would be like too fast, you know, the great angry God's judgment come down and burn everything up, and only the people that are chosen special get to be whisked away before all this happens, and those that are kind of undecided about things have to go and live through this terrible wasteland of a world and everything. I watched the End Times movies growing up, and I was 13. They scared the living daylights out of me. But that being said, that I don't believe that does not mean that I believe that society as a whole is on a good path right now. There are many of us that are trying to, well, I shouldn't include myself in trying to live green. I do try to live green, but it's kind of hard with my budget and where I am right now. But there are many trying to live green, and they're trying to be positive pagans, you know, trying to, you know, put some of those old school morals back onto the market and everything. But especially now that I live in the city, I see far too many people that just let their kids roam the streets, don't give them any sort of moral guidance whatsoever, and these kids are the kids that I have to worry about my kids marrying when they grow up. And then what about their kids? And that whole cycle, I think it'll be a gradual thing where society breaks itself down and we get to the point where there is no law whatsoever, or that law starts cracking down to try to control those people, and then they end up overly controlling the good people, which it happens. And I'm not going to be sitting there trying to fight it, you know, tooth and nail. I don't really think that that's going to do much good. If they want to crack down on everybody with these gun laws and everything, if they want to do that, they're going to do it. I don't agree with it, but if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. So I'm not going to be sitting there on the picket line with a sign, because you have to respect our government too. Whether or not you believe in what they're saying, your job as a citizen, and this kind of goes for other countries, not just the U.S. See, I was in the military, so a good chunk of my life I was raised, because I was 17 when I went in, a good chunk of my life I was raised, you respect the president, whether or not you believe what he has to say. Once he takes that role on his shoulders, he is the commander-in-chief, and you have no right to disrespect him. So even though I'm technically a civilian now, I am a veteran, and I refuse to disrespect the President of the United States, whether I agree with him or not, and that's just my opinion on that. But anyways, I think somebody's going to end up cracking, and never underestimate the power of stupid people in large numbers. That's a quote from somebody somewhere, I don't remember. But it's true, and somebody's going to end up cracking, and somehow it could be on a small scale, or it could be on a large scale, but somehow, somewhere along the way, I think we're going to have some sort of mass panic, and people won't know what to do with themselves. So, I don't believe in Armageddon like Christian style or anything, but I do think our society is crappy, to say the least, and that it's going to end up biting us in the butt somewhere or another. Whether they over-police us or under-police us, something's got to give. Somewhere along the way. You can't have that many people without any sort of moral regard whatsoever without it cracking somewhere along the way. But I also truly believe that you should be the change that you want to see in the world. And see, that's another quote that I don't know where it came from, but it's a good quote. You should always be the change you want to see in the world. So, I might read all these books about the world ending and only cockroaches being able to survive or what have you. But at the same time, I don't read those like every day and sit in the corner of my room with a shotgun or whatever, crying, waiting for zombies to blast across. Although that would be cool. That would be awesome. But no, I'm not waiting for the zombie apocalypse or fire, brimstone raining down from heaven. None of that. I believe you should always be prepared for whatever could happen in your life. Whether that is you going through a rough spot and you don't have any money for a while. Some of the stuff in this book is good information to know. You know, well, you have a stockpile. And if you don't have any money for a while, well, you got food to eat. That's what ended up happening with my dad's stockpile when my brother bought his own house. And he basically, that's all he had the money to buy was his own house. So my dad moved in with him to help him with the bills, and they took the stockpile from Y2K with them and lived off of ramen and I think packaged chocolate chips or whatever for most of the time that it took for my brother to get back up on his feet. And he was really lucky because he works in computer networking. My brother does. My dad's a nurse. But my brother works in computer networking, and he's worked in the same job at the same company since he was 15 years old. So as far as that goes, he's got some job security going on. It didn't take him long to get back up on his feet. But the stockpile ended up coming in handy. And the stuff I learned growing up out in the country has come in handy because I learned that I feel a connection to nature out in the country. And I don't know that I would have found the spiritual path that I am on if it wasn't for growing up out in the country where my dad thought that we were going to ride out the end of days from Y2K. So I can be thankful for that too. So there's always good in everything. Even crackpot crazy people, there's some good in it. And yeah, I see that. So I think this gives you a pretty, see, I got the highly healthy child. And I even have that what to expect when you're expecting book. And I'm not pregnant. And I don't plan to be for a little while. But it's still a good book. Especially if you have friends that are like, well, I don't know what happened, but I've been constipated for the past 5 months. It's like, really? Have you gone for a sonogram yet lately? Or, you know, whatever. You know, just little things like that. I kind of like to stay up to date on it. Although that is an old book of that. They're pretty much all the same, though. But, yeah. And I have this book, The Nest. Based, the people that made the website, the Knot.com, the Nest.com, and the Bump.com, this is their book, The Nest, the Newlywed Handbook. And I got that because my boyfriend and I were supposed to be moving in together, but I don't see that happening now as of this morning. Basically, he was in his car that he just paid off like 3 years ago, just paid off, had it for 10 years, and he was driving his son to school just around the block from his house. It wasn't, I mean, it was just around the block, and somebody plowed into him and totaled the car. And now he is making -3 times, I guess is the way you would put it. Basically, when he bought the car, he was making $30,000 a year, and now he makes $10,000 a year. So he can't exactly go and buy a brand new car or get any kind of car with a payment plan. So he's gonna be really careful what car he gets, and I'm pretty sure that the very special present that he was supposed to get me in this tax season, that would have to do with having all these marriage books and shit on my shelf, is probably gonna have to wait. And it's such a shame because it was such a beautiful ring. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But life happens, and these books aren't going anywhere. They'll be there next year when he gets his next tax in the mail, or tax stuff filed and everything. And you know what? Whenever it happens, I will be displaying the ring. And no, this is not my engagement ring. I know I said that in this video earlier. But see, I'm working on growing out my nails so that it looks pretty with the new ring. We'll see how long that lasts. Yeah. So, I know this isn't a witchy video, but it still bears repeating. Bless be.